Hello, my lovely learners. Welcome to Bloom and Grow Education. My name is Meredith. Today's lesson is a descriptive writing lesson, and it's suitable for year 2 through to year 6. Now, you might be wondering, how can the lesson be suitable for year 2 and year 6? Well, I'll explain as I go because it's about my expectation of what you're able to contribute to the lesson. So we are going to describe this picture here. And what you need to do is create what's called an array. So your title is Sandy House, and underneath that, you are of course welcome to do this on a Word document. You're welcome to also just draw it up in your book. So what you need to do is you need to create an array of a 2 across and 3 down. If you don't know what an array is, it's a grid. It's a maths term. And you need to make it the size of your whole page. So we'll log this down. It needs to be about that big. And if you have to choose, make this top box the biggest one, because you're going to put the most amount of writing into that one. Okay, sorry, now I'm just fiddling unnecessarily. Okay, so you need a box, you need 6 boxes. And into those 6 boxes, you need to put see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and feel. And I'll explain in a moment what those mean. So please pause the video and draw that up now. Okay, so often when students do descriptive writing, often what they do is they only describe what they can see. And we can improve our writing up to the next level by not just describing what we see, but also using all of our senses, what we can hear, what we can feel, what we can smell and taste. Now, because we're describing a desert, we're probably not going to be able to smell and taste that much. But if we were describing a cupcake, it would be different. So what we're doing is we're building adjectives. Let's have a look at the picture. Obviously, the first thing we can see is this big pile of sand. And what students will do is they'll say, what I can see is sand. But we're gathering adjectives. We're trying to describe the sand. So it's not any, sand is a noun. It's not any use to your ability to describe if you just put, I can see sand. We need to be able to describe the sand. Now, this is the part where we differentiate between year 2 and year 6. So if you are in year 2, you don't have the vocabulary that an older student would have. So you might only have 4 or 5 ideas here, 4 or 5 adjectives or describing words here. But if you are in year 6, I would expect you to have probably 30 here, because your vocabulary is much larger, your ability to think is creatively is greater, and also your ability to research is also greater as well. So let's think. We can say it's lumpy, bumpy. So let's start off by putting those words down. Bumpy, lumpy, hilly. You might think that some of these parts in here are smooth. These are like rivulets of sand. It's like another way of saying a crack. So you might also add in smooth, rivulet. And we're going to do color in just a second. So don't talk to me about it. Don't write down what is the color yet. But I would like you to pause the video on this picture and have a think about other ways that you can describe how the sand looks that isn't its color. Pause here and do that. All right, next, let's look at the color of the sand. Now, when I do this, I like to do a synonym search. So I just go into Google and I just put in orange synonym. I go to my images, and I tend to like these ones that look like this. Sometimes these twinkle ones are good, but either of this kind. Let's look at our options. We don't want to say the sand is sand colored. That's not a great option. And in the context of what we're talking about, we probably don't want to say it's carrot colored or yam colored, which is American for sweet potato, or cantaloupe, which is American for rock melon, or apricot. Marigold is a kind of a flower. We don't want to say it's an orange. We're trying to stay away from orange. Tangerine, again, is a fruit. So let's stay away from those kinds of ones because it doesn't really work. The carrot colored sand floating is not a great option. But great options would be rust because it's like a bit of an old picture. Fire. You could even go with honey because it sort of looked like it was oozing in. We could maybe do bronze. Spice could be a good option because those desert countries tend to be kind of spicy. You could maybe do tiger because that is like a dangerous animal, and a desert is sort of a bit of a dangerous situation. So rust, tiger, fire, bronze, maybe honey, spice, amber would be okay as well. Those would be the kinds of ones that I would be choosing to put for color. So I would say amber, spice, fire, tiger, whatever the other ones were. What else? Let's have another last look at this sand. Is there anything else that we can see? So we're not doing feel yet. We're just doing see. All right. I think for me, that's probably how much I can see. Let's look at this building in the background. So we've got blue walls. Again, we could do another synonym search if we wanted to. Just to keep the video moving, you can stop and do a synonym search if you want for blue color synonyms, but I'm just going to say that they're teal or aqua. So coming down here, I'm going to put walls. I'm just going to say teal or aqua. And what can I see? I think they're a little bit shiny. There's the reflection of the sun coming through the window here, but there's also a lot of shadow on it. And I can also see here how they're beginning to break down. So I might say it's reflective, glossy, shadows. So let's have a look at I just said that about how it's broken. So let's do a broken synonym search. Now you can go into like your images to have a look at some of the word options that are there. There's these funny pigeon ones. But I just like to just do the main image search. So we've got two different versions here. So we're searching broken, and these ones here are like a person feeling broken, a person has been defeated, a person has been beaten. So we're looking at these ones up here. So the building has been smashed, shattered, splintered, torn. These are the kinds of words that we are looking at. Now, another word that we could have is also dilapidated, which means in a state of disrepair or ruin as a result of age or neglect. So I think that one's a good one to add in as well. So we've got dilapidated, and then we could also have broken. What was that? Broken, shattered, smashed, splintered. Oops, sorry. Broken, shattered, smashed, splintered, etc. Okay, so I'd like you to pause again and write down any other ideas you have about the way that the walls look. Okay, so we've been working on C for a while now. So I just want you to take another moment to write down any other things that you can see that you want to write down. So the window, the sand outside, the sun on the sand, the shadows in here, anything else you can write about that. And now we're going to move on to here. So obviously we can't actually hear anything in this picture, but we can imagine what we could hear. So let's start off again with the sand. The sand might whistle or rustle or whisper. So let's do a adjective search to help us come up with some new words. So I had to have a little bit of a think and a little bit of a play around for different word options. So first I put in descriptive words for the sound of sand, and I didn't get anything. So then I thought, well, sand is going to be a soft sound. So I've tried searching for that, and that's come up with a few better options. So it's not going to chime or glug, but it might swish or swoosh or wheeze or whoosh. So those could be some good options that we could add in. So swish, swoosh. Okay, so stop the video here and see if there are any other sounds to describe the sand that you can add in here. Okay, let's now think about the building. So the building is old, so it might creak or groan. Those might be some sounds that we could have. So creak, groan, moan. Have a think, pause the video and have a think. What are some other sounds that the building might make? Okay, and now I would like you to put in any other sounds that you think this building might make. So you might have the sound of sand hitting the side of the building. So it might make it like a pop pop sound. You might have the sound of footsteps. Anything else that you would like to add in? And then let's move over to smell. So in this scene, you probably might not be able to smell very much. Sand doesn't really smell. So you can use your imagination if you like. You might be able to smell some fuel from a passing car, maybe some smoke from a nearby fire. But in the same vein, if you, or actually you might be able to smell like some mold or some dust. That could be a good one. Mold, dust. It's saying that it's wrong because that's the American spelling. Mold, dust, anything like that. There's not going to be an awful lot of things to smell in this situation. And again, with taste, I would be a little bit worried if you're eating the sand. It probably doesn't taste very good. So you can add some things if you can think of something, but I'm also quite happy for you to skip over that. So I'd like you to pause the video now and do any smell or taste that you can think of. Okay, and lastly, the last two. Now, I know it's a little bit confusing for some students when I do it like this. So touch is physically what you can touch with your hands. Feel is emotionally feel, what we're feeling in our heart. So let's start with what we can physically touch. And what it's one of the things that we can, I guess, touch in this situation is the temperature. You can feel the heat. So let's talk about hot. And again, let's do a synonym search for hot synonym. We've got balmy, tropical. Those aren't the right kinds of words for a desert scene. Like if we were describing a tropical beach, that'd be great. But here we want scorching, roasting, searing, flaming, blistering. Those are all the great words. These ones down here, these are hot, like food is hot, food is spicy. So we're not going to worry about these ones down here. Just choose some of these ones, particularly on this bottom line here, which would be some good choices. So pause the video and write down any other hot words that you would like. On the same token, you might walk into this room out of the heat of the sun and find it to be quite cool, especially in here in the shadows. So you could also add in some cool synonyms to go along with that idea. Now let's think about if we were to walk into the room and pick up the sand in our hands. It would probably feel coarse, rough, maybe sharp, But in the same time, if you were to run your hand through it, it might actually feel soft or smooth. So if you were to grab hold of it with your hand, what would you feel? And I'm going to start to give you a little bit more freedom now, to start to think, okay, how would the wall feel? How might the this bit of damage here feel? So take some time now to stop and write down any other things that you can, descriptive words for touch. Okay, and then lastly, we're doing emotionally feel. So if you walked into this room, how would you feel? So you might be overwhelmed by the sand, frustrated by the sand. You might feel scared. Or the other thing, you might be escaping from something, and this is a safe haven. So you might be relieved or happy, but we want to stay away from a boring word like happy. So we might say something like joyful or cheery. And again, you can do a synonym search for happy synonyms. I'm just trying to keep the video moving a little bit faster now. So write down any feelings, emotional feelings that you think would go along with this picture. Okay, so we have gathered all of this vocabulary, and what we're going to do is write a descriptive paragraph describing this room. Now, we have gathered a lot of vocabulary, so if I don't expect you to write every single thing. I expect you to maybe choose a couple from here, a couple from here, a couple from here. If you don't want to do smell, that's okay. We'll leave out smell. If it doesn't work with the way you're writing it to add in here, that's okay. So, but we're looking to take 2 or 3 ideas from 2 or 3 boxes. Now, again, this is where I would differentiate between your skill level of your age group. So if you were in year 2, I would expect it to be, it could be as simple as, I can see the bumpy colored sands. Oops, no, wrong one. I can see the bumpy spice colored sand. I can feel the rough. We don't want to say that it's both rough and smooth. You have to choose the rough sand on my soft skin. That would work. I can hear the wind whistling through the, so if this is the year 1, year 2 level, so if you're up year 4, 5, 6, it needs to be much more complicated than this, which is what I'm going to show you. But it's fine for you to sort of have that I can opening to help get you there. So if you're in year 2, pause now and look at your words and write some sentences to describe the scene. All right, so higher grades than that. The way that you get away from this kind of I can see, I can feel is to put it into the action of what your character is doing. So my character's action is I walked into the building and was relieved to feel the coolness of the room after the scorching sun outside. So this is me bringing in that temperature. So I've built in my adjectives into the action my character is taking. As I looked around the room, so my action is looking, I noticed the teal colored walls were dilapidated and splintering at the corners. So now I've talked about it being broken, about it being teal colored. I began to walk no, not walk, wade through the heavy piles of sand. The coarse, now I've just said sand, so I don't want to say sand again. The coarse, actually, what I'm going to do is going to obtain the same changes to dune. A dune is like a sand dune. Through the heavy dune. The coarse sand shaved or blistered or cut or scratched at my legs as I scrambled towards the back wall. The sand whispered and swooshed behind me. All right, and let's finish it off. I was going to say it was awkward, but I was relieved. But I've already written relieved up here. Maybe I'll just say awkwardly, I hid in the moldy, dank room until nightfall. Okay, so you can see that I haven't pulled out every single word, but so I've just pulled out a few from each part. Let's finish off by editing it. I walked into the building and was relieved to feel the coolness of the room after the scorching sun outside. As I looked around the room, so I've just said room and room. So maybe I could say, as I looked around the old house, I noticed the teal-colored walls were dilapidated and splintering at the corners. I began to wade through the heavy dune. Let's clarify the heavy dune that had overtaken its insides. The coarse sand scratched at my legs as I scrambled towards the back wall. The sand whispered and swooshed behind me as it cascaded down the slope. Awkwardly, I hid in the moldy, dank room until nightfall. Okay, so now for you older kids, it's your turn to pause and do that activity, going through the vocabulary and writing your own descriptive paragraph. Now, you're welcome to use mine to help you, but you're not welcome to copy mine because then you're not thinking for yourself. So I'll put my ideas back up on the screen and you can use it to help to jog your memory and help to think things through, but just make sure you're writing your own thing. Okay, so let me put that back up for you. Okay, thank you very much for joining me for this lesson. This lesson is a really good way of improving our descriptive writing skills through not just what we can see, but describing all the things that we're feeling in the moment. I really value that you came and joined me for this lesson, and I would really appreciate it if you could thank me in return by liking this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. And I'll see you in the next lesson.